had one of our guests on, Jason Fry, talking about the Celtics are going to win their 19th championship. So what have you got to say about that?
Who this Jason Fry character is, he was talking about doing hard shit. Well, his prediction is bullshit. Okay. All right. The flu got me last week. Powered through
You
that.
don't look much better.
Yeah, well, on my bad days, I look a hell of a lot better than you.
Are you ready for the joke?
I was about to introduce the joke. You jumped the damn gun again.
I'm feeling Caribbean here in this.
You're feeling
Caribbean. That's the word I just made up.
What the
Caribbean. I'm feeling Caribbean.
Folks, we are the most entertaining thing on the world, in the world right now.
I think you're trying to cover your own ass right now and just
Best
not admit
country of
you were
ninth
wrong.
in the country.
I think you're just trying to cover your ass right now and don't.
You know what? I got a big ass, so
That's a
it
lot
would
of
take
cover.
a lot of cover. It'd take a blanket, damn it.
More like a drape.
Did you just pull a drape? Is that so I can open it up when I need to go? You know,
Hey, you're getting too deep into this.
Rivalries make sports great, but they got to be on the same level. And I'm sorry, Angel Reese ain't on the level of Caitlin Clark. Like, it's not Magic Bird.
If you don't want to commit to it, take your ass and be a PE all-star.
First off, you need to get your facts effing straight.
How do you like me now? How do you like me now? What? You're the coach. Shut up, dude. I won 5 Super Bowls, damn it. How dare you call the Cowboys a shit team? Watch the Cowboys. It'll be fun, they said. Bloody fucking hell, it was no fun. It was like riding a train around one of the Kardashians' asses, and you just disappear into this abyss of ass. Somehow he talked about buttholes and made me hungry for a PBJ sandwich. It's 35-7, and it's only 7 because you just scored. Shut up. Are you telling me coaches like Coach Popovich does plays in spaghetti noodles?
The thing about Coach Popovich is he actually liked to use popcorn with super glue.
Popcorn with super glue?
Yeah, he would put super glue little magnets on the bottom, and then he would arrange them on the board, and he would like color them different colors, and that would signify the opponents. And yeah.
Are those the players?
I don't want to give away any industry secrets on that particular thing, but yeah, I'm just gonna say you gotta. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying no more.
And they're playing with sticks, and they're playing with a little puck all the time.
Expert analysis right there. They play with sticks and pucks. Talking about last names, Stankhoven. He put the stank on them, and that was terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm going to look directly into the camera up here, which I hardly ever do. I want to apologize to y'all on behalf of my bloodline right now, because that was awful. Oh, my God. You're getting worse. You're getting worse. All right.
Trying to grow the game, man. Global game.
These people, they don't give a damn.
Well, I don't really know, but it drives me nuts. You're almost going to laugh. I can see it. Almost fixing to lose it. It drives me nuts.
Oh, man.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Well. Look who's back. Didn't want to abandon his son for a second week in a row.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, he is. I am Casey, the remix schedule. The missing in action last week, and back, bald and beautiful as ever. Eddie, the original schedule. Yeah, smooth as ever over there. Smooth as ever. How was the vacation?
It was okay. It was not super exciting, but yeah, it was nice to relax a little bit. So
Where'd
all
you
good. Hmm?
Where'd you go?
We did a little RV trip to the casino up in Oklahoma, and I commenced to. I'm not allowed to gamble according to Angie, my wife, anymore because I sit down next to her and I'll blow $200 while she's still playing penny slots and hasn't lost. I mean, she's been playing for 3 hours and lost a total of 26 cents. So,
Oh,
but
wow.
always try to go big. But yeah, Windstar Casino, they are not a sponsor. They could be a sponsor. We'd love to have them as a sponsor.
We could.
But yeah, we went on a little trip up there. The your youngest brother just turned 21. So we took him up there. Now he can gamble. He can have a little bit of the adult beverages. So
He was in Oklahoma?
well, no, he's going to North Texas. Remember, Weston, who
Oh,
is our
Weston.
the youngest in the out of the three boys, he is going to North Texas, which is right below Oklahoma state line where Windstar Casino is.
Yeah, my bad. My bad. Yeah, so been a crazy couple of weeks since you've been gone. NFL free agency opened last Monday, so gave me plenty to talk about. My voice box was hurting after last week.
So
Talking.
let me just give a tip though, because I did play golf, but I wore new shoes. I thought I had never played golf before because I could not drive the ball because I didn't realize it was the shoes had lifted me up about half an inch because the other shoes I wore most of the time were wore out. So these lifted me up, so I kept topping the ball, and I thought I've just forgotten how to play golf. I really, and of course, you're hoping that you go out there and you don't end up with a bunch of other people, right? When you don't feel like you're playing well. Well, of course, man and his whole family paired up with us, and he knows my high school, all this stuff, and here I can't drive. I'm literally just getting past the woman's tee because I can't figure out what's going on till about the back nine. Then I realized, wait a second, these shoes have lifted me up. So I changed my grip a little bit, and then I felt I got my man card back after that. So
So,
just a little tip: don't wear new shoes until you go to the driving range first and work that out, or you
so
could
are you
have an
saying you
embarrassment.
finally bought new golf shoes?
I've actually had them for a while, and they're actually probably too small. I still have a big blister on the back of my heel, which it was a fun day, but it was painful on the back nine with the blister on my heel.
First
So
world problems over here.
yes,
Uh, all right. Well, folks, we started with a little story time there, but we normally start with our terribly delivered joke by the old man. So hit us with your dad joke tonight and see if you can break the streak of me not laughing.
you know I was looking at tux. You guys are getting married not too long. I was looking at tuxedos. And the owner of the tuxedo store kept hovering over me when I was browsing. So I asked him, hey, to leave me alone. And he said, fine, suit yourself. Fine, suit yourself. Get it? Get it?
Yeah, we get it. Yeah, I mean, it's your worst ever, but definitely ain't the best. Holy crikey.
Something on, I'll give you another one. Have you heard about the kidnapping at school?
I'm sorry, you kind of had a
Did,
weird sound there. Say
did
one.
you hear about the kidnapping at that school?
No.
Well, he woke up, so it's not a big deal. All right, we can move on.
Thank the Lord we can move on from this. Good Lord. All right. So a lot to cover here, folks. We got NFL free agency, some recaps, some new stuff, and what the hell are the Cowboys doing? I can tell you not a lot. We got the NCAA women's bracket. We got the men's bracket. Who do we have them winning it all? I am your resident expert, being the basketball guy. He's just picking based on colors of jerseys. He probably has an A&M picking winning it all, which would be a mistake. Got a little players championship. Got some NBA. Season starting to wind down. Who can win it all? Who can we see winning it all? And I got a message.
You know, we're gonna have to take you back to the A&M board, because you are not displaying full on agginess. You need to bring on the agginess.
Look, I'm just trying to survive classes right now. Okay. Matter of fact, after we get done off here, I got to do an entire project in like 3 hours. So, but also
you probably had like 6 months to complete it, right?
No, only like a week. But
nothing like waiting until the last minute.
Well, you know, I do my best work when my back's against the wall.
That's what a lot of lazy people say. But keep going.
Read between the lines, buddy. Read between the lines. What I was trying to say is I have a message for Mavs fans at the end of all this. I wanted to get your take on this last week. I led the show with it. Is in free agency. I mean, it wasn't really a free agent. It was a re-signing. Myles Garrett. He was whining, complaining. I want out of Cleveland. We can't win. We suck. I'm probably throwing some extra words in there. And then show me the money. Yes, you're doing the right signal, right? Absolutely. You got like $4 on there because you couldn't buy NBA 2K25. Don't even show your wallet. Right?
Yeah, this is a A&M wallet.
Don't. It's empty right now because you couldn't even buy
a
game on sale.
Yeah, if you steal my wallet, you're going to be more in depth than when you didn't steal it.
Yeah. So, dude, I thought it was just idiotic for him to throw this tantrum and say I want out, and then they throw some money at him, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good with Kenny Pickett being my quarterback." Like, I mean, that's one of our fellow Aggies. Like, to me, it's not a good look.
Well, no, it's not a good look. But in the end, obviously, it was all part of his evil plan. It was all part of his evil plan, was to get more money. And it just kind of goes to show that a lot of these players and a lot of what they say, you have to really take things with a grain of salt. Because the bottom line is they're not going to win anything. I mean, they're not. I mean, it's Cleveland. So that's the reason Toledo doesn't have a professional football team, because then Cleveland will want one. You just
that was a good joke. That was a good one. That's the best one. I would say this is yes, money is one thing, but ultimately you got to kind of, really, what you're. I know it's a little different in football, especially at the defensive end. You can be great and one of the all-time greats at that position, not winning anything. Bruce Smith never won a championship. He's considered, top 1, 2, 3 defensive end overall.
Yeah, but he went to 4 Super Bowls, so yes, you can at least get
there. I get that, but he never won one. DeMarcus Ware, until he went to Denver, was that guy. So there's defensive end examples on that, but ultimately it just it's not a good look, and you're gonna cry about this. And hey, I wouldn't turn down the money either. I mean, that's life-changing generational money, and I get that. But if you're tired, if the money ain't going to make things feel better after every game 16, 17 times a year. You know, you're still going to suck. You're still going to lose. There's a reason why in the series, The Dark Side of Football, there's a whole series on, I think, Vice of the dark side, and they do like wrestling and MMA and different things. And there's only one team they've done a series or a episode on, and it's called Why Can't Cleveland Win?
Mhm.
Like, that's how bad it is. They got their own episode on how bad they suck as a franchise. So you're not going to change it with Deshaun Watson. You're not going to change it with Kenny Pickett. Maybe they take Sanders. Maybe they take Cam Ward. But they had to sell Myles Garrett on something, right? Like, money's money, but
$40 million a season is pretty good money.
I mean, they could have traded him. He could have got that from the next team, you know? So
Well, you don't. But here's the thing, though, is when you go to a new team, you have to. It's not going to be as comfortable. And here's the thing: for Myles Garrett staying in Cleveland, he's the best player. He's the face of the team. And if he was to go to, say, he went to the Cowboys, if that craziness would have happened, he would have to share the spotlight, obviously, with other stars. If he went to Philadelphia, he would have to share the spotlight. In Cleveland, he's the man. He's bigger than the quarterback because there ain't no damn quarterback. Unless picket fence starts doing something. But I think it's the money of $40 million a year, and he also knows in Cleveland he is a superstar. There's no one else on the Cleveland team, besides Myles Garrett, that gets the notoriety that he does. So I think that's a big part of it that plays into it too.
I don't want to.
I mean, you have Malik Collins is good. You've got, but once you name those two players, who else you're going to name on that football team that anybody really knows?
Well, I don't want to beat the horse to death here, but I just think it's a bad look. I understand why, money talks, and I get that, but if you want it out because you wanted a chance to win, stick by that. And if you would have hit the free agent market, he would have got over $50 million a year after this year. But you want to know who the biggest team this deal screws is the Dallas Cowboys in signing Michael Parsons, because now the number is north of 40 a year.
Oh wait, did they wait too long again and allow someone else to get paid?
The Cowboys wait too long to sign their own guy? No way. No way. The other one I talked about after Myles Garrett was the MVP, future Super Bowl winning quarterback, Josh Allen, got $250 million guaranteed. Upwards could be a $330 million contract. So
$250 million.
It's a lot of cheddar, and that's the going rate for a quarterback around these parts. And he's worth it. I think there's about 5 quarterbacks in the league that are worth it. You got Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson. I don't think Hurts is worth it. Joe Burrow is worth that type of money. And there's probably one is escaping. Maybe C.J. Stroud down the line. I don't think he's worth that type of money right now. But he will be to Houston when they got to re-sign him.
Allen is never going to win you a Super Bowl.
It's not what I want to get into today. All right, buddy. But speaking of the Texans, they trade their left tackle away. Like, what are the Texans doing? Are they trying to be the worst ran franchise? Are they trying to out Cowboys the Cowboys right now?
Well, I don't know, but there's a certain contract that stings. Because Stingley Jr. 90. Did you know who he was before this signing?
I did because I pay attention to our local team a little bit because I've been trying to get hired by AM 610 Sports Radio. Um, but
No plug there.
Stingley is he's a top 5 cornerback in the league. He's a phenomenal player. 90 million guaranteed. It's a lot, but you know they just traded their left tackle, which I don't know how that helps C.J. Stroud stay upright. They haven't replaced their wide receiver they lost. I think Dalton Schultz.
Well, they brought in Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's coming in.
Ooh, goody for them, Christian Kirk.
He's a former Aggie.
That doesn't mean he's good.
He's fairly decent, but no, he's not. He's not like a Diggs or someone like that. But yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get what they're doing either. I thought the biggest need they needed was offensive line help, and they trade their best offensive lineman away, or at least their best tackle away. Maybe that was to free up cap room, but you're not getting much in return in draft capital for a lot of these guys right now. You know, you look at we talked a little bit about yesterday on the network show, and I explicitly went over this. We traded a 4th-round pick in Dallas for Mingo. You want to know who else traded a 4th-round pick for a wide receiver? That the Pittsburgh Steelers for DK effing Metcalf. Now, I get it. They had to pay him, too. That was why they paid a 4th-rounder, because they paid him $33 million a year. But as I said yesterday, I stand by this. I can deal with having $68 million given to 2 wide receivers if it's CeeDee Lamb and DK Metcalf, because that is a championship move. That's just how I feel about it. But we obviously don't make those moves. But, I mean, I know that's why it was only a 4th, because they had to pay him a lot of money, and that was agreed upon before the trade. But a 4th-rounder for DK? Shit, even if you had him for a year and you didn't re-sign him. Like,
if we move to Pittsburgh, who's going to be throwing the ball to him, though? That's going to be the question.
Well, that's a great segue, because
Rudolph?
they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make his decision, as are a couple other teams.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers needs to just fade into the sunset. He just proved that this last year that I like him. I think he's been a great quarterback in the league, but I think his time has passed. I think that injury with the Jets took something out of him, and I think
he was playing better towards the end of the year, the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like he got back in form. So I think there's something there. But do you take?
Yeah, well, even rookies do that over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, I just don't think. I don't think it'd be a good fit for him to go to Pittsburgh.
I think it's a perfect.
But then again, are we going to stick with Rudolph?
No, they're not.
Run Rudolph.
No, they're not going with Mason Rudolph. If anything, they'll bring Russell Wilson back. But
they did just sign Rudolph to an $8 million deal. So 2 years.
Man, that's pennies on the dollar for a quarterback. That's an insult to be a quarterback and get paid that much. At the end of the day, would you want Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers? Like, that's what they're trying to decide.
Russell Wilson, by far. Because I think Russell Wilson still has some legs. If you have watched, he can still run some. But Aaron Rodgers, he's afraid to run now. And secondly, he's going to get hurt if he does. He has that tendency, at least in these later years. So, no, if you gave me a choice between the Aaron Rodgers today and the Russell Wilson today, I'm taking Russell Wilson every day. ahead of him.
I would really need to break down the last 4 or 5 weeks of last year for Aaron Rodgers, like really get into the weeds of it to see if I would take him over Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson throwing to DK Metcalf, or I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers throwing to DK Metcalf and George Pickens, I like that better because I think Aaron Rodgers throws a better ball than Russell Wilson. Now,
If I'm not mistaken, Aaron Rodgers had a pretty damn good receiver on the Jet.
he had no line, and I think Devontae Adams is washed. I
Really?
yes. Now if you're talking about Garrett Wilson, that dude can still play, but I think Devontae Adams is washed. STWFTV, what's up, man? Appreciate the shout out there. Or girl, I don't know who. You said fellas. I'm assuming it's a guy. Anyways, not trying to go down that route. Yeah. I mean, now what I would have loved Devontae Adams with the Cowboys paired opposite CeeDee Lamb. Yes, I would. I think STWF agrees with me. So, probably talking about Devontae Adams as well. But I agree with you. That team is jinxed, just like the Cleveland Browns. But I think Aaron Rodgers is the first domino in this offseason.
And like the Cowboys. Cowboys were jinxed too. The Jimmy Johnson jinx.
Johnson. A la Jimmy Jones or JJ Jones, Jerry Jones. Holy crap. Can't even talk. I think he's the first domino in the quarterback. You got Joe Flacco out there. You got Russell Wilson waiting on it. So you got a lot of stuff there. So, any other free agent moves that you thought that we didn't get a chance to talk about last week that surprised you, that were like, oh, damn, I thought the Patriots were a little out of character going on a spending spree, but they did like have $100 million in cap room. So I really think they did a good job in free agency trying to fill their holes. And Raiders trading for Geno Smith, I think, was genius on Pete Carroll's part.
Yeah, I think that's already proven that marriage of coach and quarterback works. So I think that really only made sense. We've already touched on DK Metcalf to the Steelers. I think just gives them a incredible weapon. It's going to be interesting to see Justin Fields now that he's going to the Jets. Speaking of that team,
his career's over.
The other one, well, there's a couple others. The Ravens, Cooper Rush gets a $12 million deal for 2 years to back up
Lamar,
quarterback in Baltimore.
Yeah,
and then the fact that, Lamar Jackson.
I'm going to stop you there real quick. We touched on this yesterday. Do you believe, he's still a free agent, so he's not on the Cowboys roster, with Cooper Rush leaving, do you think they would bring back Trey Lance? I thought Trey Lance has shown enough to be your backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think they should. I was really surprised last year that they didn't give him more of a chance. But there was something going on to me behind the scenes of they knew Cooper Rush, or somehow I guess they wanted to help him out. And I would keep Lance. Just, some people figure it out later, i.e. Sam Donaldson. But another one, speaking of stuff, is Hopkins going to the Ravens. Has Devontae Adams signed yet? I thought he went.
He signed with he signed out west, I think.
Okay, I'll look. But
the San Diego.
But Yeah, I think that one, but I think that's another one, giving Jackson another weapon and Hopkins. I think Hopkins, he's not what he used to be,
Rams.
obviously, but
Signed
he's
with
a
the Rams.
sure hand. Huh?
Devontae
The
Adams signed
Rams?
with the Rams.
Yeah. So, I just think that's one.
Hey, and by the way, STWF, man, Coop, man, he's a solid backup. He's a solid backup. I'm just going to say that. But
Yeah, I agree with that. The other thing was, when you talk about money, was Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both getting huge deals in that Bengals land. Um, I think I saw a story where LSU, between um, Chase, Higgins, Burrow, and who is it? JJ in Minnesota, which are all former LSU players. I think they have total contracts over $222 million combined from LSU. So, kids, if you are considering a college, you might want to think about LSU. Just a little tip there. Um, what was the other one
while you're
that I
saying
was?
that, I think it's, and so that's what I would consider, quote unquote, a championship move is you the value you have in two dominant wide receivers, and you got to have two to take off. And if you don't have two, you got to have a dominant wide receiver and a dominant tight end. You got to have two out of the three, in my opinion, unless you have a Patrick Mahomes type guy. So I think them giving Joe Burrow those two targets long term sets that offense up to be really, really good. I do think they need to find a running game, um, and to balance it out at least a little bit to help Joe Burrow out. But I knew it was a pipe dream Sunday, or a couple of days ago, talking about what's the long term plan with Higgins, and I know that was supposedly a target of the Cowboys. I never really bought it, because we weren't going to spend the money. Because I pointed out last night on the network show, the last time the Cowboys spent more than $6 million, because I don't really consider Greg Hardy a big spend. It was Brandon Carr, like in the mid 2000s at cornerback, when the last time they spent any type of money on a free agent. They've always been bargain basement shopping on it. So, but with that, Dallas free agency.
Oh, you want to get into that?
I mean,
I was going to point out one more.
unless you had. Did you figure out what you're trying to think of?
Yeah, I was going to say Seattle, and when we get into the Cowboys, we'll talk a little bit about D-Law and Micah, but
Who
Darnold
is Sam
and
Darnold going to throw the ball to?
Cup. He just got Cup.
Oh, all right. Well, you got Cup, and
And
then you just traded DK. You let Lockhart go, or Lockett go, not Lockhart, Lockett, Tyler Lockett. So you got Cup. You ain't got no one else. Like,
you got Marquez Valdez Scandling.
I'm impressed you even got that name out your mouth.
I know, right?
Name.
Usually I can't even say Saquon.
Yeah, you still can't say Saquon. Oh man,
I'd say it wrong on purpose.
I
He
know.
got a pretty good deal in Philadelphia too. It's $41 million. So, but that's what Philadelphia does. Unfortunately, I hate them, and they're our rival, but they're smart when it comes to re-signing their players. They lock Barkley up.
Yeah, so
And
let's go ahead and transition to the Cowboys on that. Is the one smart thing they did was re-sign Ziggy. That's the one thing they had to do, and they actually got a good deal for him and a team friendly deal on their side, because they were going to have to tag him. It was going to cost them over $25 million. They got him 4 for $80. He's only counting against 6 against the cap this year. and then it'll go up above 20 next year, but it'll be an average of 20 a year. It was a good deal for both teams. I give Jerry Jones, Will McClay, and Stephen Jones credit on that deal. But the rest of free agency has been dog water.
Well, I think, how old is Solomon Thomas now?
He turns
He's
30
been in
in
a-
December.
Oh, he's only 29. I thought he was older than that.
Yeah, he turns 30.
Wait.
He's a little bit of a bust as far as a draft pick. He's a solid. I think he's a solid third DT option for you at this point in his career. The person that I was sad, or I didn't want to see the Cowboys actually let go other than Ziggy, was actually Chauncey Golston. I thought he had a decent year last year, and you need defensive ends. I would have liked Chauncey Golston. Now, I know they brought back Dante Fowler, I do believe, who left for a year to go to Washington and
Yep.
come back.
$8 million deal.
Could be up to $8 million. Probably won't be, but re-signing. I mean, bringing back Turpin is a solid thing, but you're doing running back by committee. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders. I think they're making those signings an excuse not to take Genty, which I think more and more Genty's not going to be available at the 12 pick.
Stealing my take, I put in our little chat the other day. I think they're loading up on these running backs and former starting running backs to me make an excuse for not taking Javonte in the draft. So, although I do think Miles Sanders could possibly do well behind a decent offensive line, but then again, our offensive line's going to be a little suspect again. But Fowler, yeah, I think bringing Fowler back is a good move. But here we go with loading up on players that everybody's like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Paris Campbell.
Finished last year on the Eagles practice squad.
Yeah.
Robert Jones, a guard. Peyton Turner was with the Saints, apparently. I didn't even know he existed before I just read this. And their biggest splash signing they do every year, Trent Sieg, the long snapper.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why
good thing we got him.
Good thing we got him. They're so good because the laces are always out.
Well, actually, the long snapper doesn't hold the ball when they kick. Just so you know, in football, the long snapper actually gives it to the punter.
Let it ride. Let it marinate for a minute.
That was goofy. But they knew that long snapper because they're going to be punting a lot again. Obviously, unless and here's the thing. Let's just talk about who is still out there for wide receivers. There is a guy named Diggs, right?
No,
he's still out there. There's still a guy named Cooper.
That'd be a solid option.
Be a Cowboy.
Keenan Allen,
who I would think would be an amazing addition across from CeeDee Lamb. He's tall, he can catch. Those three right there. Does anybody who's a Cowboy fan or who has been a Cowboy fan think they're going to get any of those that they would make that move?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got Tyler Lockett out there. Brandon Cook still hasn't been signed. If you want to bring him back,
yeah, Tyler Lockett, I forgot about. So yeah, that's another one that could be a good addition.
Could bring back Beckham. Bring Odell Beckham. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think he's a little past his time.
Just kidding on that. But and if you were going to sign these running backs, why not sign J.K. Dobbins or Nick Chubb? Like, those are the top two on the market right now. Nick Chubb, I think, has a lot more in the tank than anyone on the, and he has a proven track record. Um, that would be one I would be a fan of on a 1 or 2 year deal there. So, but
See,
where
you
we
want to
get,
know my theory on this? My theory is that JJ has dementia, and he saw the name Sanders, and he thought, "Heck yeah, I want Sanders. He can run the football, he can catch, he's a great corner. No, he's a running back. Well, he could play running back too." And then on Williams, Javante Williams, he said, "Yeah, Roy Williams, he's one of the greatest strong safeties we ever had. Let's bring him back." I think JJ has dementia. And I think he sees these names and he's thinking about like Paris Campbell. Heck yeah, let's bring in Campbell. He's a hell of a running back. No, he's a receiver, Jerry. Yeah, but Campbell, Earl Campbell was one of the greatest there was. So let's bring him in. I think he has dementia. That's what I think it is.
um, you know, uh, where you also needed help was linebacker and safety, and C.J. Mosley is out there. Isaiah Simmons is out there, a speed guy. Um, I think those would be decent options because I wanted them to go after Dre Greenlaw, and they obviously didn't do that. And then corners, well, I think they're not going anywhere on corners. But the one corner I wanted them to target was Justin Reed from Kansas City, and they didn't do anything there. But you still got a veteran former Pro Bowler Justin Simmons out there. You got Marcus Williams, Von Bell, all decent options. Julian Blackman. There's still some talent out there that can fill in for you, but I mean it's drying up pretty damn quick. And as always, the Cowboys back themselves into a situation. So
It's like that little man with the stick figure with pushing the do something. Come on, do something. Come on, do something.
all right, let's switch gears. Let's get to good old basketball. All right, we're gonna start with the women's bracket, and let's. I used to have a background for this, and now I don't. Sad day. All right. Well, oh well. Women's basketball bracket. Went over it yesterday on the network show, but I had pretty much generally chalk to the Final Four. I think the women's game is very top heavy, even still. But I do have UConn beating, I believe, UCLA. I went away from my bracket. I'm gonna have to figure it out. I should have taken a picture of it. In the final, I have UConn beating TCU, and I have TCU beating South Carolina in the Final Four to make it to the championship game. And I have UConn, I do believe, beating UCLA in the Final Four. So, yeah, I have Paige Beckers and UConn winning it. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, okay. Much as it pains me to say it, I think Texas is going to surprise people more. I mean, is it really a surprise when they're such a high seed? But I think that's who I see winning it all, actually.
You think
I
Texas?
think
You think Texas is?
Yes. Now, my second pick would be I think you said you have UConn beating UCLA.
In the Final Four, yeah, I have UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, TCU in my Final Four, and UConn beating UCLA because Paige Beckers is the best player in the country. I think they're the best overall team with the most experienced coach, obviously. So yeah, I have UConn beating UCLA.
Let's see. I haven't spent a lot of time on this bracket, so I apologize. I'm looking at it. I've looked more at the men's bracket than I have the women's bracket because there is no Caitlin Clark. Did I say that out loud? But yeah, I just think, as much as I hate to say it, I think the Longhorns have shown this year tenacity. But as much as I've watched them play, that I think, I can't really pick against UConn just because UConn always finds a way to show up in the March, even when they're not as high as seed. But I would say UConn and Texas.
I mean, that's solid. I mean, I have Texas losing to TCU in the Elite Eight. I just think TCU's how they're playing, and I love their star player at TCU. They're playing great basketball right now, and I think they'll be juiced. And I think if they get on a run, especially if they beat Notre Dame in the Sweet 16, which is what I have, I think that could really propel them and give them the confidence to take on Texas. And obviously, I have them upsetting South Carolina, which a lot of people have winning the whole thing as well. So, it's yesterday we broke down some some UCSD SOU. We went deep into the weeds yesterday, and I was like, guys, I'll be honest, I stay up late at night to try to catch those South Alabama women's games. But ultimately, yeah. But I think the game or the bracket is predominantly a chalk bracket. I mean, I only have one seed not making it, and that's UConn beating USC in the Elite Eight. Because I don't think Juju makes her teammates better. She's a walking bucket, amazing talent, but she's just she's not a playmaker. She's not a I think she's going to get exhausted trying to carry them.
Yeah, I really think Texas is one of the only teams I've really spent any time watching in the female basketball realm besides here and there. So I'm not going to say it's an expert opinion, but I'm going to say Texas and UConn.
All right, on the men's side, I do have a couple. I mean, I don't know if you call them upsets. I mean, I have UC San Diego beating Michigan in the first round of 12, beating a 5. I do have I had Liberty beating Oregon in the first round on the top side of the bracket, and then the bottom side of the bracket, I don't know if I had any upsets per se. I do have Arkansas beating Kansas and Utah State beating UCLA. I really wanted to pick High Point just because of their name, but I didn't. Beating Purdue, and I also don't think they'd beat Purdue. But my Final Four, I have Auburn, St. John's, Duke, and Houston. So almost an entire chalk Final Four. But I have St. John's beating Florida in the Elite Eight. after beating Arkansas. I think Calipari and Rick Pitino going at it in the round of 32 would be awesome. Because they both have their series that they do, like the Razor's Edge, and then some, I forgot what Patino's is called. I think it's on Vice, I do believe. Again, but yeah, I have Houston, Duke. I think Duke wins it all, and I think Duke beats St. John's in the final for a total of 152 is what I got.
Okay. All right, then. All right, then.
All right. Did you have a pick? Are you picking Houston? I feel like you'd pick Houston.
And then where? The Final Four?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I feel like you'd have them winning on all.
Houston?
I mean, they are a number one seed.
Do we just move to the men's bracket?
Yes.
Man, you left me. I'm still looking at the women's bracket. I was like, what are you talking about, Houston? Where the hell did you get that from?
That entire segment was about the men's bracket on Auburn, St. John's.
I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? All right, so winning it all in the men's bracket. Well, let's just talk about this for a second before I give the full final pick here. Is as much as I love our Aggies, they haven't impressed me the last part of the season. First part of the season, they unfortunately played a lot of close games, and they were okay with that. They felt that they could win close games, but they're just not, I don't know how to say it. It's not dominant. They're just not explosive enough.
Actually,
Whereas I think
Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think they can get to the Sweet 16. And I think if they meet a team like
Auburn,
Michigan or Auburn, then that's going to be the end, unless they pick it up. You know, the playoffs, and we see this every year. There's certain teams that you don't think are going to do so well, and then they pick it up. So, Sweet 16, I'm going to say is going to be A&M, and I just have a feeling Auburn's not going to make it. I think
you think they're going to lose to
Louisville. I'm going Louisville. I think it's going to be Louisville and A&M in that part of the bracket.
Really?
I think well, it's going to take us too long to go through all of those, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, we would have to do almost the whole show on breakdown of the bracket. I mean, you know, you were just mentioning A&M, so because I have UC San Diego upsetting Michigan, and I have A&M beating Yale, I think they can beat UC San Diego and then lose. I have them playing Auburn in the Sweet 16. And then, like I said, I have Auburn, St. John's on the San Antonio, on the left side of the bracket. On the right side of the bracket, I have Duke, they have the best player in the country in Cooper Flag. I think they're the best team. And I think Duke finally gets their first championship post Coach K. I think it's going to be a dogfight with Houston in the Final Four. And I think it's going to be a great game. I actually think the Houston Duke game is actually going to be more difficult than the championship game against St. John's, actually.
Yeah, if I'm going, let's go left to right. I think it's going to be Louisville who wins over A&M. I hate to say that about our Aggies. I just think Louisville has enough to carry them to the Elite Eight, where I think they will meet Michigan State or Iowa. That's a hard one to pick, but I'm going to go with Michigan State. So that's Louisville, Michigan State, and then coming down the bracket, I'm going to say Florida. I don't think there's any surprises with that. I think St. John's, so it'll be Florida and St. John's. On the other side, I don't have a problem with Duke. I think Duke's going to run the table to the Elite Eight. I agree with you on that. I think we're the surprise, because there's always a surprise every year that a team that people don't think. And I'm going with St. Mary's. I think it's going to be Duke and St. Mary's. That's my sleeper team. And then, yeah, I think Houston runs it all the way to the Elite Eight. I don't think anybody's stopping them in that bracket. And then they will face. I'm going with Tennessee there. So Houston, Tennessee, St. Mary's and Duke, Louisville, and
Michigan State, Florida St. John's.
And Florida St. John's. Who do I think is going to win it all? I think Houston's going to win it all.
I told you you're picking Houston. I already knew. Those are some interesting takes. I hope you fill out your brackets that were sent in the group and you put in your money, because we're going to love that free money with your St. Mary's idea.
I'm telling you, there's always one team, and I think St. Mary's is that team.
I don't
this year.
I think there's no way in Hades St. Mary's is beating Alabama. There's no way. I don't think so. I have them beating Vanderbilt. I have Wisconsin meeting Alabama in the Sweet 16. Ole Miss and Michigan State, Auburn, Texas A&M, Duke, Arizona, Florida, Memphis, Texas Tech, I believe is going to get to the Sweet 16 against St. John's and lose there. I have the Illinois, the Illini, beating whoever wins the Texas Xavier game, and then beating Kentucky, and then losing to Tennessee in the Sweet 16. So, but interesting.
Yeah, that's in the background. That's my printer printing my bracket. So,
well, there you go. Now just submit your money, and we'll enjoy keeping it.
What?
By the way, it's $20 a bracket, not $20 total. I got clarification on that last night. Winner take all for self-charity. All right. We're going to stick with basketball. Let's switch gears. NBA. We're getting to the end of the season, where I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the end of the season with hockey next week. But the NBA, and I got to ask the question, who can win it all in the NBA? Like, I think that's a legitimate a question of how many teams, because I think the West is wide open right now. I know everyone's locking in OKC, but I don't think until OKC does it, they've proven to me that they can't do it in the playoffs. So I think there's a sneaky couple picks in the East that could challenge.
Do we want to do let's commercial start. Break before we get into this?
Oh, yeah, it probably is about that time. We are at the hour mark. All right, folks, let's get a word from our sponsor, Easy Leadership. Here we go.
Ever wonder what truly drives you or your team to greatness? Unlock the keys to better communication and higher productivity with the Berkman Personality Assessment. Discover your interest, needs, and stress behaviors. Powered by science, tailored by Easy Leadership. Our experts transform complex insights into simple, actionable strategies for your personal and professional growth. Empower your team, elevate your leadership, and deepen your understanding with easy leadership by your side. Ready to thrive? Why not use real data when it comes to making your business strategy work? People data is just as important to strategy as financial data. To make any objective attainable, it requires people for the execution. Start your journey to self-awareness and transformation today with Easy Leadership. Check out our website at easeleadership.com.
And we're back. All right, some good words there from Easy Leadership. The man, the myth, the legend next to me, his company, doing good and big things over there. All right.
Yes, please check us out.
NBA. Let's start in the Western Conference. You got OKC top of the standings, and number 2 seed is the Rockets, which is surprising, the turnaround they've had from the last couple of years. You kind of saw them building. Nuggets 3rd, Grizzlies 4, Lakers 5, Warriors 6, Timberwolves 7, and then the 8th seed right now is the Clippers. I think there's about 4 or 5 teams that could legitimately come out of the West.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. It's the Rockets have been a surprise to me, definitely. And quite frankly, the more I watch them, and the more I see how well they've been playing and bringing it up here at the back half of the season, I really think the Rockets are the ones who are going to head to the Western Conference Finals. I think it's going to end up the Rockets and the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. Where I do think that Houston finally gets another team out of Houston that gets in the finals. I'm not changing how it looks right now in the standing. I just think you got certain teams toward the end of the season that are able to turn it on, and the Rockets have been one of those. I agree with your take on the Thunder. I think the Thunder, once they get in the playoffs, can falter a little bit. They're not as consistent. That's why I think they're good enough to get to the finals, the Western Conference Finals, I should say. And that's who I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Texas-Oklahoma shootout between the Thunder and the Rockets. That's my take on that. I think the Lakers with Luka joining them, there was a lot of hype about that when they first started, but I think they're also showing that it ain't as great as they thought it was going to be. So they're falling back quick.
Well, I mean,
we'll
LeBron's
see.
out with his groin injury. Now, if you saw him at the Suns State Championship game jumping around going crazy, that groin didn't look too strained to me personally.
Yeah.
By the way, quick pet peeve, and this isn't just, I happened to see a video. LeBron's sitting there at this game, and there's literally a fan right behind him screaming at him and his family. Like, I don't know what he was yelling or whatnot. If you're a fan and there's someone right there, like they're sitting in front of you, they're near you, shut up. Okay, have some respect for him. He's there to watch his son play basketball. Like, I think any celebrity who's trying to enjoy some sort of normalcy for their kid, and at the state championship, you're not even worried about the state championship. You're just trying to yell and get LeBron's attention to get a reaction. Probably put it on Twitter or some BS. We all know on the show I don't like LeBron James, but that kid or whatever, I don't know how old it looked like a student, but you're out of pocket doing that crap. And so just let them be and let them enjoy. I remember the last Cowboy game we did for the Cowboys, the last color guard that we did for the Cowboys when I was still in the service was in the new stadium, the last one. And Andre 3000 gets sat 2 rows or 1 row below us. And he got escorted in, and he's just sitting there. trying to enjoy the Cowboy game. And I'm like, and people are trying to take pictures and all this craziness. And I'm like, let the man be and enjoy the game. Like, I know there's certain things come with celebrity, but let them be fans, let them enjoy the environment and all that stuff. Unless they're interacting and trying to get a reaction for trying to be a famous person at that event, just let them be. So that's a sport pet peeve of mine, by the way. No, that's not our segment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that take to a certain extent. I think it depends on where they're at, and the interaction that they're having. Now, in this case, yeah, I say grow up and be better than you might think LeBron is.
Yeah,
because
we all
it
know.
truly will show your character. But I think also there are certain people, certain celebrities, certain sports figures that bring some things on themselves. So because they don't realize the way they look sometimes. I saw a video of a foul call the other day, and LeBron was literally stomping his feet like a 3-year-old.
Well, that's what he does.
And,
I mean, he's a I just said we all know I don't like the dude. That's clear and prevalent on this show. But not to beat that bush to death, but back to the Western Conference. If it's Thunder Rockets, I think Thunder go to the finals. In your prediction there, I don't think it's going to be the Rockets because of their youth in the Western Conference Finals. I think the Nuggets could be there. I think now obviously it depends how the bracket falls. I think the Warriors are 14-1 with Jimmy Butler plays. That's pretty damn good. So I think they could be there. I think the Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards could be there. So it's wide open. I tend to agree with you. I don't think the Lakers are as good as what they've been advertised. LeBron's been hurt. Luka's not a great defender. LeBron's not a great defender anymore. They're still lacking inside. I think they would get pretty exposed on the defensive end. But I will say this, and I didn't think I would say this. I think, and I don't like JJ Redick very much either, but I think he's got to be considered for Coach of the Year based off of how the Lakers were last year. They're 41-25 this year. It's pretty impressive turnaround actually for that franchise. So and he's got some good stuff. I've looked at some of his stuff to implement with my own team. But in the Eastern Conference, I'll say this: number 1 seed, the Cavs can beat the Celtics. I'm going to say that straight out. I've kind of waited for the Cavs to fall off a little bit, but they have 2 15-game winning streaks this year. They're legit, and when they added, Evan Mobley in the draft, and then they added Hunter, DeAndre Hunter, I think it's DeAndre, to their lineup, they really solidified themselves as a team that can beat Boston. And I'll be honest, I think it's a 2-team race in the East. I think it's Cleveland and Boston. I don't think the Knicks have enough. I don't think the Bucks have enough. They do have Damian Lillard and Giannis, but the rest of the East is just kind of there. I think there's a couple of teams that are a year or two away. Like I think the Magic next year can be pretty dangerous at what they've built down there. But I think it's Cavs, Celtics, and I actually think the Cavs are going to beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, damn, you just took my take away. But one of the things because I'm riding with the Cavs also, I know your buddy Fry isn't going to be happy about that. But because he picked the Celtics again.
He did.
But just really quickly, when I look at playoffs and
Playoffs.
I really look playoffs, I look at the away records of basketball because away records to me tell you a lot more about a basketball's tenacity. When you look at the Thunder, and that's why I kind of waver a little bit on the Rockets. The Rockets are almost 500. They're a little bit over 500 in their away games.
18.
But when you come over to the Eastern Conference and you look at the Cavs and the Celtics, I mean, they're not in double-digit losses in the away games. They're Cavaliers 26-6, Celtics 26-7. So that to me, you've got to be able to handle it on the road if you're going to win it all. And that stat to me tells me a lot more about a team when they get into the playoffs and playing in the conference finals or getting even to the conference finals. That comes into play. It's like in hockey when I say I look at the goalie and how well they're playing. In basketball, I look at the team's away records because you've got to be able to. You can't just win every game and you're at home and hope to get to the championship. You're going to have to win a few away from your stadium. So, yeah, I think I can't. Unfortunately, we're aligned. There's no argument in that. I think Cavaliers. I've been watching them all year when it comes to just how they're playing, and I think they are definitely the top contender coming out of the East. Whereas Boston coming into the season was, but Cavaliers have just proved all year long that they've stayed consistent, and they are the team that you're going to have to go through Cleveland if you're going to get to the conference finals or the finals from the East. For sure.
Agreed. All right, my last NBA thing here, and this is talking to my fellow Mavs fans. Because if you're starting to hear the interviews from the players like PJ Washington, they're starting to get fed up with the fans. And it has to deal with still the fallout of the Luka trade. And I think the fans, guys, I'm a Mavs fan too. You can see it in my background. Is ultimately, guys, it's time to let go. It's time to the hurt is over. Yes, he's gone, but you got to embrace that. Right now, the team is trotting out 8 dudes. If they lose one more guy, they have to forfeit games according to the CBA because they won't have enough guys on the roster. I've never seen this many injuries on a basketball roster in my life, and so they're playing their asses off for you guys. Jason Kidd, Coach J Kidd, is coaching his ass off. And at the end of the day, you showing up to the stadium, which your increase of about 8% ticket price, by the way, and still booing and yelling, fire Nico and all this stuff. And you may be right. But it's starting to wear on the players of you guys and us not supporting the current guys on the roster. Yes, Luka was an icon while he was here. He was on his way to have a statue outside the AAC or whatever new stadium they build. But that's not going to happen. You got to let it go. The breakup is over. Okay? She has moved on. It's time to be done with it. Now, if you don't want to be a Mavs fan anymore, I understand that. It's not like anything the new owners have said has endorsed that or been endearing to make you come back. But Mavs fans, pack it up, put away the tissues, nut up, and start either being a true fan again, because if you were a fan of the 90s, I know you can get through this, okay? Because we were the worst franchise of all time in the decade of the 90s. It's time to move on, okay? It's just time.
Okay, so that is the weakest take for I have ever heard when it comes to just nut up and take it. Bullshit. No. If I paid for a season ticket to be a Mavericks fan, I expected something. First off, I expected Luka to stay. Second off, I expected you to put something on the floor that if I paid my hard ass money to be a season ticket holder, I have paid for the right to boo your ass if the entertainment you're putting on the floor is bullshit. Because that's what it is. And they want to say, well, we've never had this many damn injuries or whatever. Well, then fire your damn training staff and get somebody who can freaking work people out so they ain't getting injured all the damn time. They have the right to boo as much as they want to, because that bullshit move and that bullshit owner group that they have right now doesn't give a damn about those people in Dallas or the fans or what they're putting out on the floor. So, weak take, in my opinion, I would boo the shit out of them and continue to boo. So, Mavericks fan, if you're a season ticket holder, wear a freaking Rockets jersey or wear something in there and boo the shit out of them, because they ain't worth it. That's my take.
So you want to go out on a limb and say my take was weak? Well, I don't put a lot of credence in your take because we know you're not a Mavericks fan. You never have. You never will be.
I'm not. If I was, I would be booing their ass too.
Your lifelong fandom because of political views. All right. So let's not sit here and say this is a weak take. What I'm saying is I'm not saying support ownership. I'm not saying support Nico or any of that. I'm saying support the players that are out there giving everything they got. Get over the Luke. It's not going. You can be dissatisfied. You can boo. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is ultimately you either support the guys that are here because you are a Mavericks fan. If you're a Luka fan, go buy your Lakers jersey and wear it proudly. Okay? Because most of the time
Okay. So what if they brought LeBron to the Mavericks? Would you be out there cheering him?
No, because I'm not a LeBron fan, but I would cheer the Mavericks.
But what if LeBron was the face of the franchise?
If he had been drafted by the Mavericks and he was the face of the franchise, that might be a little different. I've already said I don't want LeBron. I don't want KD. I don't want any of these other guys who fly from team to team and try to be a hired gun.
Keep booing. Keep booing.
Your take is ludicrous, outrageous, scandalous, and terrible. Okay?
Ludicrous. I'm flummoxed. I'm just flummoxed.
So that's going to be on the new intro, by the way. That's a good one. But man, I'm just saying support the team that's there. You know,
I understand what you're saying, but they paid for the right to boo. And the players should know they're not booing the players. They're booing the owners. And
most people in the building aren't season ticket owners or season ticket holders. They're single game fans who go in there. And at the end of the day, I mean, the owners are laughing at the bank because you're in there spending money. So,
I would beg to differ on the fact that you're saying that a lot of them aren't season ticket holders, because who the hell's buying a ticket to go see that team?
I mean, you can get them on the cheap, so you buy them so you can go do this. I mean, I think the reason this is an issue in my viewpoint is because now the players are starting to take offense to it. All right, this isn't just the fans being fans.
So you're going to tell me that these millionaire players, I'm being booed.
They're not saying they're not upset of the booing. They're upset that they're not getting support from the fans. that they're not supporting the guys that are fighting tooth and nail every single time. It's like when you have a team.
Did you just say they're fighting tooth and nail? I could have swore, looking at the Mavericks, they just got routed by the Texas team.
They had 8 guys on their roster. They should be getting effing routed every game because they have nobody. Just look who they're rolling out there, and you want to mention the training staff. The training staff can't prevent a torn ACL. Like,
It's funny though how good trainers in football and basketball seem to keep people from getting injured because they know how to do the right stretches. They know how to do the right weightlifting.
I don't care how much stretching or weightlifting you do, sometimes injuries happen. Okay? Kyrie tearing his ACL had nothing to do with the training staff. Derek Lively rolling.
In signing Anthony Davis, everyone knew he's always injured.
That has nothing to do with the training staff of the Dallas Mavericks. That's my point. You're saying fire the training staff of the Dallas Mavericks. That has nothing to do with them. Injuries happen. Now, if you have bad rehab, if your guys aren't getting better, that's when you start looking at your training staff. Now, I do believe the Mavericks made a huge mistake when they let Casey Smith go, the trainer in the 2000s in the early 2010s. He was, to me, the best trainer in the NBA. But I'm not getting to – you've already got me into the weeds of the training staff here. But, man, it's one of those things where if the players aren't feeling supported, it's just not a good look. Support the players that are going out there fighting every single game, and you want to express your disgust for the ownership. Yeah, when you see the owner or you see Nico, boo him. But I think what PJ is trying to make, the point he's trying to make is the fans are still hung up on the actual trade. That Luka's gone and they're still crying about it. Get the F over it. It's done. You can't do anything about it. That's what I mean by nut up and move on.
That's what you should be saying to them next year, not this year. Boo the rest of the year. Nuggets fan, let those assholes have it.
No.
There you go.
All right. Last segment of the day. PGA Championship was this weekend. We both love playing golf. There's a strangely done AI dancing video of you and I that I'm wearing, stolen from a golf outfit I was wearing. But we love playing golf. We both played on the VGA for a while, and the Veterans Golfers Association. If I could ever get out from under this RV I've been trying to sell, I'd probably go back to playing on the VGA. But the PGA Championships was this weekend, and I love watching golf. It's starting to become that time of the year. We're about to be in April with the Masters, and it was entertaining to watch. I love the TPC Sawgrass. Obviously, those last 3 holes are iconic. You got the island green in there. You got all the water on the left. If you remember playing Tour 18 in Houston, hole number 1 is actually hole 18 of TPC Sawgrass. I think we both put it in the water that day when we played it. But a lot of fun watching it. It goes into extra holes, into a playoff. Rory versus Spun. And talk about Spun out of control on the 17. Triple bogeyed in the playoff, and Rory wins comfortably. I'm just wondering if this is a sign that Rory is finally going to get off his major drought. I feel like he might finally get one this year out of the 4 majors. I don't know which one, but I think he may get one this year.
He's what? He's ranked number 2 in the world, behind Scheffler. And he's always been that one golfer that seems to be having tons of potential, but he just can't quite get there. So it would be nice to see. I think he's a likable guy. I think golf needs somebody like Rory to move to the forefront, to be that superstar, so to speak. He's got a lot of popularity throughout the golfing world. So it would be nice to see, because golf needs it. I think golf is, suffering a little bit. I did finally watch your Tiger Golf League thing. That is actually pretty cool. Um, so, but yeah, I just think it would be good for golf if someone like Rory could win a couple majors and start being that face of golf, because I think right now they just don't have it.
Don't act like he's never won. He's won 4 majors, but he's just.
Well, I get that,
but it's been like a 10-year drought. Like,
yeah,
a very long drought.
It's been a while.
He's 35 years old now. You can see the gray in his hair coming out on his sideburns. A lot of these guys that hit a lot of majors early, like Rory and Jordan Spieth, they've just kind of hit a wall where they can't put it all together again. Rory's thing is he always has that one drive that kills his championship round. He almost had it yesterday when he hit it into the moguls on like 12, 13, 14. I forgot which one they redid. May even been 15. But he hits it so far right, it actually gets past the moguls into some trampled area. Then he hits a flop shot over the top of the trees into the middle of the fairway, chips it up there, and I think he gets out of there with par. He scrambled for par, just like I would do if it was a par 8 for me. But yeah, I think Rory, I think he is that star. I think he is the face of PGA golf, because I think Bryson DeChambeau is obviously the face of live golf. I love the Masters coming back in April. Those live guys will be back, and you really do have the best in the world going at it with, Rory and Scotty and these top 10 guys in the world. And then you have Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, who is a major guy, always seems to come and play in majors. And then Colin Morikawa, Cam Smith, a lot of guys in the mix. So should be interesting. But I think it is a sign to that Rory might be off the schneid this year. And he's the first European to win 2 Players Championships, which is considered the 5th major in golf. And it is interesting that it since they redid the golf schedule, it's always funny that it's like the first now. It used to be the last one after I believe the British Open was the last major. Used to be the last major of the year. It was Masters, US, and the Open. What's the 4th one I'm missing?
As far as the Masters,
the Masters, the US Open, the Open. What am I missing?
And that the one overseas.
No, that's the Open. The British Open.
British Open.
Why am I'm brain farting? I feel terrible now.
Well, it's not your first time, so.
Shut your face. Oh, the PGA Championship. Duh. But
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Going to wrap it up like Christmas present.
Yeah.
In the middle of March. So Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things for future shows, we got to start looking at the draft coming up soon.
Well,
Some
remember,
players going.
we are doing a live draft show on. We'll be back on Thursday nights after I think 3 weeks. We'll be back on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Get back to our normal time. Track season will be over for me since I'm coaching track.
How are they doing?
We have a lot of guys that can run far, but I coach jumpers. My jumpers try very hard. So, yes, they're sweet kids.
Well, there you go.
But and then ultimately we'll like I said, we'll be back on Thursday night, 7 p.m. The night of the draft. We will be hosting. On Time Sports Talk is hosting it. We're hosting our first network show on Thursday nights. We're going to cover the draft live, pick by pick. Everyone on the network is going to be on. The Philly guys will finally stop ducking us, and we can finally, probably. Well, I can't even say they'll be sober. I'll be honest with you. You just never know with those guys up in Philly. Actually, I don't. Yeah, Sean's good. The other guy, suspect, sus. But it'll be
Guy
fun to
calls
have
in
them
from
on.
his bed drunk.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, man, that's one of the best things I've ever done on radio / podcasting. And Derek and what Dustin, holy crap, I'm sucking tonight. They'll be on
Man,
as
you
well.
just turned 39 and you are just starting to get losing that memory already.
I know.
So yeah, we didn't talk about that, but the remix had his birthday on Friday. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
39.
Whatever you're gonna give me for my birthday that I never received, just put it towards our honeymoon fund, please.
So a hard time. So that's pretty much it.
But we didn't do much. Ate super early. We were at Texas Roadhouse, went open at 3:00 with all the other 60-year-olds. That was we were by far the youngest people.
That's right before crafts time at the senior home. That's where they
pretty much we were in line. We get there at like 2:45, and Linda makes the comment like, "Hey, I've never been in a Texas Roadhouse parking lot this empty." Well, in those 5 minutes after we parked, it filled up with all handicap stickers. Like it was, we're standing in line, and I feel bad because I'm in line, but I want to let these, elderly people go in front of us, but I also want to eat sometime today. So,
I was telling my wife the other night that all the people over here at the yacht club where we live, it's a bunch of old people, and then I realized, wait a second, I'm fixing to be 60, so. But I still feel like I'm 12, so I'm 60 going on 12.
I mean, you act 12.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Well, we'll be back next week, 7 p.m. live on Monday night. And, hope you're here and you bear with us. And if you're watching and your people didn't see it, you can find it on Apple Podcasts under Tired Sports, on Spotify under Tired Sports. Just look for On Time Sports Talk under that our network, and you can also find it on YouTube and X, and also on Facebook. Obviously, LinkedIn. It's on LinkedIn as well as Twitch. So that's where we're streaming all over.
Twitch.
Yep.
Twitch.
Yeah.
Turn off the microwave.
All right, folks. Well, we love y'all. Peace, and we are out of here.